I let my people down, but my head high, At the end of the day, I came out to be great, but I came up short. I got caught with a shot that I didn't see, one that came from underneath,
Calvin Ford is not impressed with the idea of Derrick James retiring. Just recently, he went off on James to tell him to man up. Now, boxing is a sport that thrives on rivalries and has always had its share of heated moments.
It's what the IPF do already anyway, so it doesn't matter, It gotta be good to me. I'm not.
However, it's not just the fighters who get pulled in conflicts. Sometimes, the trainers find themselves in the eye of the storm. Recently, a significant misunderstanding has erupted between Derrick James, the esteemed trainer of Frank Martin, and Calvin Ford, the man behind Gervonta Davis's success. The tension between these two influential figures in boxing has reached a boiling point, primarily driven by the aftermath of Frank Martin's loss to Gervonta Davis.
Y'all see what y'all getting, right? Hey, pay-per-view will be here. This is what we want from boxing.
Frank Martin had been on a winning streak under the guidance of Derrick James. Known for his strategic brilliance and ability to bring out the best in his fighters, James has built a formidable reputation in the boxing world. On the other side, Calvin Ford has been instrumental in molding Davis into one of the most feared fighters in the division. Davis's aggressive style and knockout power have made him a household name in boxing. The bout between Frank Martin and Gervonta Davis was highly anticipated. The aftermath of this fight, however, has been dominated not by the fighters themselves, but by their trainers. In the wake of the loss, Derrick James found himself struggling with a wave of doubt and frustration. Known for his composed demeanor, James shocked many when he publicly contemplated giving up his career and canceling his contract with Frank Martin. This move was unexpected, as James had always been a pillar of support for his fighters. James admitted, "This loss hit me harder than I expected. I've always believed in Frank's potential, and seeing him lose in that manner made me question my own capabilities as a trainer. Sometimes, stepping back might be the best option."
So I wouldn't, die out in the later round, so I still had that bounce. So I started slowing it down, and I took away the movement that was.
Calvin Ford was quick to respond. In a reaction to Derrick's claims, Ford didn't hold back his thoughts. "Derrick needs to man up. This is boxing. Losses happen. It's not about the loss, it's about how you come back from it. If he's thinking of quitting, maybe he wasn't cut out for this in the first place," Ford said. Now, Derrick James is a former professional boxer himself.
The thing I want to touch on is the Floyd situation. Floyd is Floyd. That's like I say, tank is tank, man. But at the end of the day, the man is chasing greatness, and you should be supporting that.
James transitioned to training after retiring from the ring. His analytical mind and ability to devise effective strategies have earned him some good reputation in the sport. And under his guidance, fighters like Errol Spence Jr. and Jermell Charlo have achieved some massive success, which might have been a thing of the past. He is well too known for his calm, methodical approach and his dedication to nurturing his fighters' careers.
Well, Tank, how about for you? What have you seen in Frank Martin, and what kind of fight do you expect him to bring to you?
Bring him his back shot.
You better not miss.
Ford's journey to becoming a renowned trainer is nothing short of remarkable too. His life story, which includes overcoming a troubled past and turning his life around through boxing, is an inspiration. Ford has a reputation for being tough and demanding, but also deeply caring for his fighters. His work with Gervonta Davis, who hails from a challenging background in Baltimore, has been widely praised. His no-nonsense approach and ability to instill discipline and confidence in his fighters have made him a respected figure in boxing. The public spat between James and Ford escalated quickly, with both trainers exchanging barbs through the media. In a follow-up reaction, Derrick James expressed his frustration. "I respect Calvin and what he's done with Gervonta, but he doesn't know what it's like to be in my shoes right now. Every trainer handles losses differently. For me, it's about reflecting and deciding what's best for my fighter." Ford fired back, saying, Derrick's talking about taking a break now? What about Frank's future? He's the one who stepped into the ring and took those punches. Derrick should be standing by him, not contemplating running away. While the trainers clashed, the fighters found themselves caught in the middle. Frank Martin, dealing with the disappointment of his loss, now had to navigate the uncertainty of his training situation. Martin, who had always spoken highly of James, was visibly affected by his trainer's public statements. In an interview with Boxing News, Martin said, "I've always trusted Derrick. He's been more than a trainer to me, he's been a mentor. Hearing him talk about quitting is tough. I need stability right now, and I hope he reconsiders." Gervonta Davis, on the other hand, was riding high on his victory, but showed concern for the ongoing heat. "I respect Frank as a fighter. He's got heart, and I hope he finds his way through this. As for Derrick and Calvin, they both need to remember why we're all in this sport, to fight and to win." The ongoing feud between James and Ford has sparked a wide range of reactions within the boxing community. Many trainers, fighters, and analysts have weighed in on the matter. Teddy Atlas shared his thoughts on his podcast.
Pound fighter in the world, that's high. You know, that's up there in the Mount Olympus places. And he's done. You're not going to neutralize a guy like Davis all night long with just pure defense. You got to have a mix of offense.
This is a tough situation. Derrick James is one of the best trainers out there, but everyone has their breaking point. Calvin Ford, he's a straight shooter, and maybe his tough love approach is what Derrick needs to hear. Ultimately, both of these guys care deeply about their fighters, and that's what matters most. Andre Ward, a retired, undefeated champion, and now a boxing analyst, offered a different perspective. "I've been in the ring, I've faced losses, and I know how crucial the support system around you is. Derrick needs to think about Frank's future. This is a big moment for both of them. And as for Calvin, his passion is undeniable, but sometimes we all need to show a bit more empathy. Derrick James's next move will be crucial. If he decides to continue training Martin, it will require a renewed commitment and perhaps a new approach to their dynamic. If he steps away, Martin will need to find a new mentor who can guide him through this challenging phase of his career. Calvin Ford, for his part, remains focused on guiding Gervonta Davis to greater heights. "We've got big plans for the tank," Ford stated confidently. "This issue there with Derrick isn't going to distract us. We're here to stay, and we're aiming for the top." Now, this is not the first time we're hearing Derrick wanting to retire as a trainer. Based in Texas, the former fighter-turned-coach was responsible for training a group of star athletes, including Jermell Charlo, Anthony Joshua, Ryan Garcia, and Frank Martin. James had only recently started working with Joshua and Garcia, yet his enthusiasm for the sport was noticeably waning. James had hinted at his waning motivation in a candid interview with BoxingScene.com. When asked about the possibility of taking on another high-profile fighter, he had been unequivocal. "No, I'm done. I'm retiring. No more. I'm out of boxing after my guys retire," he had declared. This statement underscored a growing sense of fatigue and disillusionment that had been creeping into James's mindset over the past few months. As a professional fighter from 1992 to 2008, James had amassed a respectable record of 21 wins with 12 KOs, 7 losses, and 1 draw.
Hector, he's coming to fight. He had 2 impressive wins already. He's a world champion. You know, to me, to do a lot of talking, taking easy fights. We never took a fight that was not.
Transitioning into a coaching role, he had quickly made a name for himself, guiding his fighters to numerous victories and championship titles. Despite these achievements, the relentless pace and pressure of the sport seemed to be taking a toll on him. James's calendar last year was filled with high-stakes fights. Frank Martin was set to face Artem Harutyunyan on July 15th. Errol Spence Jr. was preparing for a showdown with Terrence Crawford on July 29th. Anthony Joshua was gearing up for a rematch against Dillian White on August 12th. And Jermell Charlo was scheduled to battle Canelo Alvarez on September 30th in a clash of undisputed champions. Each of these fights carried significant weight and expectations, adding to the mounting pressure on James. The world-class boxing gym in Dallas, where James trained his fighters, was often bustling with activity. It wasn't just the rigorous training sessions that defined the atmosphere, but the sheer presence of so many elite athletes. I think they all feed off of each other. I think it's more about inspiration. That's the key element, James had noted. He believed that the environment, charged with ambition and humility, pushed each fighter to excel. To be in a room with a lot of guys who are successful, to have enough humility, a lot of people can't take it. A lot of people can't be in that type of room and work. You have to find out who you are before you walk in the room to be with a group of guys like that. Everybody gets along really well.
And Derrick James in the back like, man, what the fuck is this dude doing? Oh my God, we in trouble. What the, oh, what?
Yo, what's Earl been up to, man?
Fuck Earl.
What?
Yeah, fuck Earl.
Oh yeah, he ain't with Derrick James no more.
Yeah, exactly. You ain't Derrick James. Fuck you, motherfucker.
Errol Spence Jr., one of James's standout proteges, had supported this sentiment. In an interview with Brian Custer on The Last Stand, Spence had spoken about the motivational boost he received from training alongside other top-tier fighters. "It's great just to have other great fighters in the gym," Spence had said. "It makes you stay on point, especially in sparring when knowing that they're watching you. You try to work a little harder." Despite the camaraderie and the motivational energy within the gym, James's weariness was evident. The pressure of preparing his fighters for major bouts and the emotional investment in their careers was becoming increasingly burdensome. Frank Martin's defeat to Gervonta Davis has been a particularly significant blow. While we can all agree that he tried his best to keep Frank off the ropes and from losing, we don't know just how much he had put into this fight. And since we are all different, maybe his way of handling this loss is what is leading to these destructive thoughts. To add to all this, the fact that he has been thinking of quitting from last year says a lot. The loss has not only impacted Martin, but has also shaken James's confidence in his ability to guide his fighters to victory. But Calvin Ford is not letting this friend of his drown in this.
What do you think of, Errol Spence? Obviously, he's in Frank's corner, but he's saying that Tank can't give away early rounds in this fight like he has with some other fighters.
I don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Guess what? Sparring and fighting is two different things. And y'all know.
It's just recently that Calvin Ford had suggested helping out James to train Errol Spence. Calvin Ford's recent remarks about potentially training Errol Spence Jr. have sparked interest and speculation within the boxing community. Ford expressed readiness to collaborate with Derrick James, Spence Jr.'s longtime trainer, if given the opportunity. This revelation came during an episode of the Rise podcast where Ford discussed various aspects of Spence Jr.'s career and the potential for a trainer change. Ford's interest in Spence Jr. comes from a belief that the welterweight fighter may already have a clear vision for his future bouts. Ford emphasized the importance of understanding Spence Jr.'s desires and ensuring that any decisions made align with the fighter's goals. He mentioned on the podcast, "See, that's the thing. I gotta see what he wants. Because everything he wants, I'll make him own up to it." When pressed on a potential opponent, Ford noted that Spence Jr. had expressed interest in facing Keith Thurman, highlighting the fighter's proactive approach to his career. The possibility of Spence Jr. having Ford as his trainer surfaced when Derrick James received a surprising text message. It hinted at Spence Jr. considering such a move, a notion that James initially found amusing given their long-standing partnership. James, renowned for his coaching role in Spence Jr.'s career, had been instrumental in helping the fighter navigate challenges, including a devastating loss to Terrence Crawford. The aftermath of the Crawford fight saw Spence Jr. struggling with doubts about his future in boxing. Despite activating a rematch clause, Spence Jr. faced setbacks due to an eye injury requiring surgery, casting uncertainty over the timing of his return to the ring. As discussions about his trainer circulated, Calvin Ford's offer to train Spence Jr. emerged as a potential alternative under certain conditions, contingent upon James's approval. During his podcast appearance, Ford made it clear that his respect for Derrick James would influence any decision to work with Spence Jr. Ford emphasized the importance of seeking James's blessing, citing their mutual respect and friendship through their work with Gervonta Davis. "First, I'd go to Derrick James and get permission from Derrick James. That's the first thing I'd do. If Derrick gives me his blessings, 100%, I'd jump in with both feet because he's a good friend of Tank's," Ford said. Regarding potential opponents for Spence Jr.'s comeback, Ford opted not to dictate but to consult with the fighter. He talked about the importance of Spence Jr. making his own decision, reflecting Ford's approach of empowering fighters to take charge of their career paths. This stance resonated with his belief that Spence Jr. likely already had a contender in mind for his anticipated return to the ring. The dynamics between James and Spence Jr. exemplified a bond forged through years of training and shared triumphs. James's coaching philosophy centered on developing not only technical skills, but also mental resilience, essential for navigating the highs and lows of professional boxing. His steadying influence remained crucial as Spence Jr. navigated recovery and prepared for future challenges. In contrast, Calvin Ford's interest in potentially training Spence Jr. added a layer of intrigue to the narrative. Known for his disciplined approach and success with Gervonta Davis, Ford represented a compelling alternative for Spence Jr. as he evaluated his career trajectory. Ford's readiness to collaborate with James underscored a commitment to professionalism and respect within the boxing community. As speculation swirled about Spence Jr.'s next moves, the decision on his trainer would ultimately depend on factors like loyalty, opportunity, and personal growth. Both James and Ford offered unique strengths and perspectives, each capable of shaping Spence Jr.'s journey toward redemption in the ring. The ongoing dialogue underscored the complexities and strategic considerations in professional boxing, where decisions made behind the scenes could profoundly impact a fighter's career trajectory. As Spence Jr. weighed his options, the boxing world awaited news of his next steps with anticipation. Whether he remained with Derrick James or chose to explore a partnership with Calvin Ford, the decision would mark a significant chapter in his career, reflecting his aspirations and ambitions as a top-tier welterweight contender. However, the potential collaboration between Calvin Ford and Derrick James to train Errol Spence Jr. presents a compelling narrative that could reignite James's passion for coaching and potentially sway his decision about retirement. James, who had expressed weariness and a desire to retire after his current stable of fighters finishes their careers, may find renewed motivation and purpose in a partnership with Ford, particularly in guiding a high-profile athlete like Spence Jr. Firstly, the collaboration would leverage the strengths of both trainers.
Spence didn't look like himself. Crawford did a hell of a job. He's the #1 guy now. It is what it is now. What's next?
What do you think could have been the problem? Do you think it was weight or anything like that?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get in this year. Probably October, November. Yeah, you gotta wait to hear from me. I'm looking for.
James is renowned for his technical expertise and ability to develop fighters' skills, evident in his successful coaching of Spence Jr. and others. Ford, on the other hand, brings a disciplined approach and a track record of molding champions, exemplified by his work with Gervonta Davis. Together, their combined knowledge and experience could create a formidable coaching team capable of maximizing Spence Jr.'s potential and achieving new heights in his career. Also, the prospect of mentoring Spence Jr. through his comeback and potential future fights could reignite James's competitive spirit and passion for coaching.
I ain't make the count. I'll be back better, watch film, get better, grow, and y'all will see me again. Just I got to chilling too much on the ropes, Derrick, that's one thing he been talking to me about in training camp for a while.
Roger never got trainer of the year when Floyd was fighter of the year. Yeah. His dad never got trainer of the year. So, I've been openly expressing that, and I think it's time that Calvin gets his shot.
Seeing Spence Jr. overcome adversity under their joint guidance could reaffirm James's belief in his abilities as a trainer and remind him of the impact he can have on fighters' careers. The challenge of preparing Spence Jr. for top-tier competition, possibly including a long-awaited rematch with Terrence Crawford, could invigorate James and inspire him to continue coaching beyond his initial plans. Moreover, the collaboration with Ford represents a new chapter in James's coaching journey. It offers an opportunity for growth and learning as he collaborates with another respected trainer in the sport. The exchange of ideas and approaches could rejuvenate James's perspective on coaching and expose him to new strategies that benefit his entire stable of fighters, not just Spence Jr. And finally, the potential success and accolades stemming from coaching Spence Jr. to victories under a collaborative effort with Ford could reinforce James's legacy in the sport. It could solidify his standing as one of boxing's premier trainers and motivate him to continue making a meaningful impact in the careers of future fighters who seek his guidance. Well, what do you think will happen between these two trainers now? And could we be seeing the final moments with James? Share your thoughts below, and let's meet in the next one. See you then.